news about her husband's crash. Travis, he can wake up at any time. Some people's comas only last a couple days. Travis had seen his father since and knew that that wasn't going to be the case. Jennifer, being the creative mother that she was, had to find a way to take her preteen son off such a horrible event. The school year would end in 2 weeks. However, she figured that since her son had perfect attendance and nearly perfect grades, that he could just skip straight into summer break. But this alone wouldn't solve anything. Travis would just mope around the house or play Xbox while his mental health would decline. Jennifer needed to get her son somewhere where he could be productive but also around family to help cheer him up. She came up with a brilliant plan to send Travis to Dale. Dale was Travis's uncle, but also his father's fraternal twin. Not only was this a perfect idea for Travis to be around his favorite uncle, but Dale also worked as a forest ranger in one of the national parks in Washington. As fate would have it, Dale's intern for the summer was not able to renew his work visa in time, and thus he was left with an availability for a capable intern to assist him for the summer. When Jennifer called, Dale knew immediately that this would be a perfect solution to both of their problems. Travis loved Dale, but his father being in a coma trumped his excitement. Jennifer kept driving in the Washington countryside while trying her best to create a normal conversation rather than all the other talks about the crash that they've had in the past week. "So, you excited, bud?" she asked in a hopeful attempt to mend whatever feelings had been hurt from previous arguments. Travis paused and contemplated whether he wanted to continue fighting or just make up with his mother before he left for 2 months. "Not as excited as you," he replied coldly. "Travis, we talked about this. I'm not dumping you off to your uncle so I don't have to deal with you." Travis remained silent, feeling slightly guilty for taking his frustration out on the only person that was there for him. "You're right, Mom. I'm sorry," Travis chirped up a few minutes later, causing his mother to grab his hand and gave a light squeeze. "Your uncle tells me you're in for a big summer," Jennifer exclaimed while still focusing on the mountain highway. "Oh, really?" Travis responded, intrigued. "What do you mean? I thought you said he was like a forest cop or something." Jennifer chuckled at this. "Forest cop? Who told you that?" "Yeah, Dad would always call Dale that one forest cop." Jennifer and Travis both laughed, seeing how even in a coma, that his dad was still making them laugh. It was a brief and lighthearted moment that faded just as quickly as it started. But it was exactly what they both needed. A good note to end on, especially with all the hardships of the previous week. Jennifer pulled off the highway exit and continued down a few miles before arriving to the entrance of the national forest. Out front, parked off to the side of the entrance, was a custom and lifted Jeep. Dale was standing out front, giving directions to a foreigner couple that were clearly tourists. Travis and his mom parked the vehicle in the closest available parking spot and walked over to Dale, who was still struggling to give directions due to an obvious language barrier. Eventually, the conversation ended, and Dale was able to properly greet his nephew and sister-in-law. "Whoa, there he is," Dale said excitedly, while messing up Travis's hair. Travis gave a sheepish smile as he was still not exactly excited that his whole summer of playing video games had been forfeited to being out in the woods with his uncle. "This will be great. This will be even better than scout camp. What rank are you again?" Dale said, unaware of what happened last fall. Jennifer gave an uncomfortable smile and responded, "Travis is no longer in the scouting program. There was an..." She paused, trying to think of the best way to put it without reminding Travis of the horrors he endured in that cabin. "An incident. But we're past that now. Right, Travis?" A brief thought of Travis's scoutmaster screaming for help entered his mind, but quickly faded. Yeah, I'm over scouts," Travis lied. Dale nodded reassuringly. "Well, that's okay. There's still a lot of great things you can do out in the woods that I can teach you." Travis forced a smile and hugged Dale. "Why don't you load your stuff up in the Jeep and I'll show you where we'll be staying for the summer." Dale then hugged Jennifer and reassured her that things were going to be okay. "Hey, Gary's a strong guy. He's gonna pull through," Dale whispered to Jennifer as Travis was out of earshot, trying to retrieve his bags. Jennifer's eyes began to swell with tears. "I'm not so sure about that, Dale," Jennifer responded while pulling away from the hug and making her way back to Travis, giving him one last hug before hopping into her car and driving off. Travis and Dale shared an awkward moment before they both jumped into the Jeep and made their way into the forest. The long drive in the beautiful forest helped Dale and Travis get reacquainted. By the end of it, they were telling jokes and singing out loud to classic songs that they both enjoyed. Eventually, Dale pulled up to the front of the ranger station, which was a sizable cabin-like structure, but oddly enhanced in a way that looked like it could handle military combat. Out front were other ranger jeeps, and occasional rangers entering or exiting the station. "Wait here, bud," Dale said while jumping out of the doorless jeep and entering the station. Travis couldn't help but notice the sheer size of the forest and all the beauty inside. It had been a while since he had been in the woods and forgot how beautiful it was to be back. While Travis was admiring the scenery, one of the tourists of the park approached Travis in the jeep. "Hey, how do I report something to you guys?" the middle-aged man requested from Travis before seeing that he was clearly a preteen. "Oh, sorry. I need to speak to a ranger." Unsure of what to do, Travis said that my uncle could probably help you. He should be out in any second. Sure enough, Uncle Dale exited the station with 2 ice cream cones and a smile on his face. "We got the machine working again," Dale said while licking the ice cream. Dale handed a cone to Travis and the tourist piped in. "Hey, how can I report something to you guys?" the worried tourist inquired. Dale was doing his best to not spill his ice cream in the jeep and said, "Oh, sure thing. You can follow an official report inside the station. Ask for Barbara. She's the nice one. Just curious, what's going on?" The man had already started walking towards the station when he stopped to talk to Dale. "Yeah, we've been having issues of people coming into our campsite at night. We're in a trailer, so we aren't exactly in danger, but I don't want people stealing our stuff from our campsite." "Are you sure it's not an animal or something? Have you seen anyone come into your campsite?" The tourist paused for a moment. "I haven't seen anyone, but we can hear people talking right outside our camper. We don't understand what they're saying, but it's definitely a person." "How strange. Well, definitely file a report and I'll keep my eyes open." Dale smiled as he continued with his ice cream and started up the jeep. Dale and Travis continued their way deeper into the forest as Dale filled in Travis on what to expect this summer. "So, technically, you're not allowed to stay in the ranger station since you're not a ranger, but I was able to pull some strings and I volunteered us for fire watch duty. Meaning that you and I get to stay in the fire tower," Dale said with excitement. Travis could feel a smile creep across his face as he always wanted to go inside one. It is fire season, so we'll have to actually keep an eye out for any blazes in the area, but most of the trees are fairly great, so we shouldn't have anything to worry about. Travis paused as he wanted to phrase his next question the best way he could. "Dale, have you ever experienced anything weird in the woods before?" Travis said nervously. "Oh, of course. There was that one time an elderly couple got really high off of shrooms and went streaking in the forest. That was plenty weird." Travis nearly spat out his ice cream as the response caught him off guard. Both of them shared a laugh as they pulled up to the base of the gargantuan fire tower. "Here we are," Dale said while putting the jeep in park. The fire tower had exceeded Travis's expectations. The tower itself must have been at least 100 feet, maybe more. "Hope you don't mind the stairs," Dale said while getting Travis's bag out of the back. The two made their way up to the top, which took them about 15 minutes at a leisurely pace while they both talked. "But back to your question, I have seen weird things. Your father told me about what happened to you and your troop last year, so I don't want to startle you with some of the things I've seen, but if you're ready, I'll tell you." Before Travis could respond, Dale's walkie-talkie blared, calling for Dale's assistance back at the station. "Roger that. Be there soon," Dale responded while handing Travis his pack near the top of the stairs. "Looks like duty calls. Make yourself at home, but don't touch any of the equipment or drink any of my beer in the fridge. I counted, and I know how many I have," Dale said in jest while messing up Travis's hair again and descending the stairs. Travis continued up a few more flights of stairs before finally reaching the top. Inside the fire tower was a rather impressive setup. There was a large map on the opposing wall that looked like the outline of the park. Inside the map were numerous marked locations that had different colors that looked like landmarks. The rest of the tower looked like a makeshift office with a bed and a fireplace stove. On the other side of the room was a movable cot and a basket of candy and beef jerky sitting on top. Behind the cot was a handmade sign that said, "Welcome, Travis." Travis smiled while digging into the basket to see what goodies his uncle got him. Time slowly dragged as Travis waited for Dale to return. Being bored, Travis began to snoop around to see what the tower had to offer him for entertainment, but to his dismay there was only an old radio. He then turned on the radio but didn't know what station to put it on, so all he got was static. Sitting on Dale's bed was a leather-bound book that seemed to be worn. Travis, not thinking twice, picked up the book and opened it to reveal what happened to be Dale's work journal. At first glance, the journal was boring and talking about some tasks that he had to do around the park. But as Travis continued to flip through, he was startled to see photographs taped inside the pages. The photos were of Dale and other rangers in different sections of the forest, but things slowly began to get more disturbing. The pictures were now of campsites, but no one was in the pictures, at least at first. Travis then read one of the entries of the photographs to gain context, but was left even more confused. April 26. Campers at Campsite 17 failed to check out of the campsite on time. When I went to confront the campers on the site, all the camping materials were left unattended. As per protocol, we gave them an extra day to check out, but upon returning the next day, nothing had changed. I called into the local police to report multiple missing persons, but nothing came of it. The next page was slightly more ominous, but more disturbing in nature. May 3rd. I received reports of screams by multiple campers late at night. My report to the ranger station was that of a mountain lion coming back to the park to mate, but I had no proof of paw prints or animal droppings to support this claim. The next page got even weirder. May 17th. The lights in the sky returned again. It has to be some type of military aircraft since it gives off no sound. However, we are nowhere near any airbase that I know of. August 8th. The station received reports of the woman again. No one is allowed outside after dark. August 12th. Bodies were finally found of the missing campers back in May. The bodies were... Travis' eyes widened as he tried to process all the information when his reading was cut short by the sound of someone walking up the fire station stairs. Not wanting to be caught reading his uncle's journal, Travis quickly placed the journal back to where he had found it and sat on his cot. Dale entered the station with a small bag and handed it to Travis. "Here's some dinner." Travis opened the brown bag to see a plastic-wrapped sandwich and some chips. Dale walked over to his bed and grabbed his journal. "Oh, wow. I can't believe I left this out. That could have been bad," Dale said as he walked over to his desk and placing the journal in the drawer while closing it shut and locking it with one of the keys off his keychain. "Why would that have been bad?" Travis responded, pretending that he hadn't already glanced at a few pages. "Oh, no reason," Dale lied. "Oh, what channel does that radio work on?" Travis asked while unwrapping his sandwich. "Oh, the radio. Yeah, that only works for emergencies. Sorry, probably should have told you that." Travis was surprised by what little technology the Rangers used while they were out in the field. "Hurry and eat. I want to show you some cool places before the sun sets," Dale said while packing up a backpack. Travis practically inhaled his sandwich as the two got ready and made their way down the long sets of stairs. Before descending, Dale stopped at the door and locked it using 2 separate keys on 2 different locks. "Why did you lock it? Isn't there no one else allowed to be in this area of the park?" Dale stopped and pondered before answering. "How do I start this conversation? Well, sometimes people or animals find their way out to this area by mistake. Recently, weird things have been going on in the park, so it's always good to cover your bases. But it's nothing you should worry about." Dale grinned Dale started it up and blared the radio while winking at Travis. "This radio works," he said jokingly. With the 2 hours of sunlight, Dale showed Travis a good portion of the park while telling him stories of him and his father when they were younger. Travis for a moment felt as if life was normal again, that Travis had no other problems other than whatever was in front of him at the moment, but he knew deep down that that wasn't true. Uncle Dale was just like his dad, except Uncle Dale would occasionally swear or sing out loud lyrics to his favorite songs. After seeing a couple of cool sights, Dale drove him to the base of the waterfall where other tourists were also viewing with their families. "Hey, I'm really glad you're going to be here with me this summer. I think we're going to have a blast. Do you remember how you asked me if I'd seen anything strange? Well, as a matter of fact, I have. Listen, I'm not trying to scare you, but this park is different. Different than the other ones. We have special sets of rules that even I need to follow in order to be safe. The biggest one is that no one is allowed outside after dark. Make sure you stay on established trails, don't go into unknown caves, and, the usual stuff. Also make sure at night don't pay attention to anything that happens outside. I know that sounds weird, but the woods have a way of playing tricks on you which will get you very lost if you let it. But you're a smart guy. I'm not worried about you." Dale grinned again. Having read what was in Dale's journal and now hearing him say this was definitely weird. Wait, so people aren't allowed outside after dark while they're camping? How does that even work? Travis inquired. We ask people to stay in their tents or at the very least their campsite. I know it's weird, but just trust me on this one. Dale and Travis were making their way back to the fire tower when Dale's radio buzzed again. "Code Orange in the Pinewood campsite. All available rangers, please report with caution." Great. I need to go to this. Let me drop you off at the tower with my keys and I'll see you later tonight. Oh, and when you see me later, I want you to ask me what your dad's name is before you open the door for me. It will be a code that only you and I will know. But the tower has windows. I could just look out and see you at the door and just let you in. Dale shook his head. Travis, make sure you ask me a question that only I would know. Again, just trust me on this. Yeah, sure. Dale dropped off Travis with the keys and tore off into the darkening forest. Travis took his time going up the stairs as things slowly kept getting weirder for him. There was something going on in the park that Dale wasn't telling him. But why? What was he trying to protect him from? Travis waited for his uncle to return in the dimly lit fire station, but time just dragged on. He tried his luck opening the drawer containing the journal, but it was still locked from earlier. There was literally nothing for him to do, since there was no TV and the radio was only used for emergencies. Eventually he heard footsteps climbing the fire station steps, and sure enough he heard a knock at the door. The forest was now dark, and all the internal lights of the station created a mirror effect on the windows, making it only reflect what was inside rather than allowing Travis to see out. Travis instinctively began unlocking the door when he heard his uncle's voice from the other side. Wait, ask me a question first, Dale yelled, slightly muffled from being outside. Oh, yeah, right. What's my dad's name? Dale instantly answered, Gary, and Travis opened the door. Dale walked in with wet hair and a different outfit rather than his ranger's uniform. That was a messy call. I had to take a shower afterwards at the station, Dale chuckled. Sorry for leaving you for so long. Turns out the code orange was more like a code red, and we had to get the police involved, but that should be fine now. Oh, well, what was the problem? Travis inquired. Dale paused as he realized that he didn't think of a good cover story for what actually happened. Well, someone tried lighting one of the bathrooms on fire. It's just probably just some protesters or something. Dale lied poorly. Anyways, I managed to steal this from the break room at the ranger station. Dale plopped down an old box of Monopoly and a couple of root beers. I thought this would be fun to play. Travis smiled as he loved a good board game. After a couple of hours of playing, both Dale and Travis agreed that it was way past bedtime. Both of them fell asleep quite quickly since they were both exhausted, but for some reason, Travis woke up a few hours later. The light inside the fire station was still on, giving the room a warm orange glow, and Dale was asleep facing the wall. Travis stretched as he tried getting comfortable again when he heard a slight tapping on the window near the door. It was probably some type of bug or a moth being attracted to the only light in the forest. As Travis glanced around before closing his eyes again, he saw the side of Dale's bed, his journal laid next to it. This might be the only chance. Travis crawled over to the journal and picked it up while still laying on the ground. Travis flipped back to August 12th to finish what he was originally reading. We found the bodies from the missing campers back in May, and I wish we hadn't. All the bodies were found by a poor old couple who had gotten lost and stumbled across them. The 5 missing campers were decapitated and hanging upside down a good ways up into the trees. The worst part of this was that they were all missing most of their skin. Identifying the bodies would be incredibly difficult. The police were of no help as their investigation consisted of 2 officers asking some of the campers a few questions, but that was it. No follow-up or anything. Me and the other rangers have been uneasy since. August 23rd. More campers had been found, but this time in their camper. It was only 2 people this time, but a similar result. Both heads were missing, but their skins on their bodies were mostly intact. Attached to the journal entry was a poorly taken photo of inside the camper and of the 2 bodies. August 25th. The lights in the sky came back, this time much closer. Again, me and the other rangers are baffled by the lack of noise these aircraft make. Could there be a connection between the killed campers and the lights? September 7th. Some of the rangers have been acting strange. I have caught a few of them just standing in the middle of the forest and staring at nothing. Has the job gotten to them, or are they just high at work? September 23rd. Someone found the altar and reported it to the station. When arriving to the alleged scene of the altar, it had moved again. That would explain the murders. Make sure to find it and burn it before more people get hurt. October 7th. I saw one of them. I forgot what they looked like, but now I'll never forget. I made sure to notify the camp nearest where I saw it and had them relocate their campsite. I probably saved their lives. Why are they coming so close to us in the forest? Travis was filled with fear and questions. The light tapping had ceased, but a knock had replaced it. A chill went down his spine as he dropped the journal and shot up to see who was knocking at the door. The light inside still created the mirror effect, so Travis paused and flipped the lights off to see who was at the door. Once the lights were off, Travis took a second for his eyes to adjust to the darkness before he was able to make out a small outline of a figure standing at the door. Before Travis could alert his uncle, the figure spoke to him from outside. "He knows you're here. You should have never came back to the woods." Travis stood petrified, as he knew exactly who the figure was referring to. That's impossible. That happened hundreds of miles away. There's no way he followed me this far. Behind Travis grumbled Dale, still half asleep. "Who are you talking to?" Causing Travis to nearly jump out of his skin. "There's a person at the door," Travis whispered. Dale shot up and went to the desk and pulled out a pistol, and by the time he got to the door, the figure was gone. Dale opened the door and checked the stairs before coming back in frantically. "Did you get a good look at the figure? Was it a person, or was it something else?" "Did you talk to it?" Dale asked. "I only saw an outline, and I may have said a few things to it." Dale paused and looked at the stairs again. "Did the outline at least look human?" "Yeah. If I had to guess, it looked like the shape of an old woman with crazy hair." Dale let out a sigh of relief. "Thank goodness. Well, what did she say?" Travis paused as he uncovered painful memories of his scout trip and running away from the Skinwalker that had killed both his scoutmasters. "I think something might have followed me here," Travis whispered. "I don't know exactly what it is or how to kill it, but it can change shapes." Dale paused. He then walked over to his desk and wrote on a piece of paper and handed it to Travis, with a single word on it while putting his fingers to his lips. The paper read, "Skinwalker?" Travis nodded. Dale began to panic. "Oh, great. What time is it?" Dale checked his watch. It read 3:14 a.m. "We have about 3 more hours till sunup. Then when the sun is up, we'll head back to the station and call your mom. We can't have you out here," Dale said, frustrated. Right then, the emergency radio blared on. "Dale, come in. This is Code Red." Both Dale and Travis jumped at the noise. Dale grabbed the radio and responded, "This is Dale, over. We have a Code Red. We need both of you back at the station immediately. Over," the radio replied. "Come in? We can't come in now. Those things will be out there until sunup. We can't risk that." "Sure you can. Everything will be fine. Just come to the station. Over." Dale paused. "This isn't right," he whispered to Travis. "Who am I speaking to? Over." The radio remained silent. "Which ranger is operating this radio frequency? Over." The radio responded in a different voice than before.
"Come to the station, Dale. Bring us the boy, and we'll spare you."
Dale turned away from the radio and went back to his desk and began packing things into his backpack. "We can't stay here," Dale said. "Pack your things." Travis and Dale spent the next 10 minutes packing before making their way outside to the stairs. They quickly descended the stairs and made their way to the Jeep. Travis still felt exposed in the dark forest, sitting in the doorless Jeep as Dale put it in drive. "We can't go back to the entrance. They already have the station. We'll need to go out the service entrance on the other end of the park. That will take us hours, but the sun should be up by then." As Dale started the Jeep, screams in the distance could be heard coming from the entrance of the park. Dale tore off into the forest trails as the screams seemed to multiply in the distance. Gunshots could be heard from various types of guns as they fired. Visibility was poor, as the cool night air supplied a slight fog that seemed to hang in between the trees. Dale put his high beams on and gave Travis instructions. "In the back of the Jeep is a pistol I need you to carry. It's a revolver, so it only has 6 shots, but I have a bag of ash bullets in my backpack. The bullets are specially prepared to kill those things, but I only have so many. I'm going to get you out of the woods, and then I'll have to head back in to help the other rangers. Worst case scenario, if we get separated before I can get you out of here, try to find an altar. You'll know it when you see it. For some reason, the Skinwalkers won't go near it, so you'll be safe for the time being." Dale continued driving in the dark forest at high speeds when suddenly a deer appeared in front of the Jeep. With the poor visibility and the high speeds, all Dale could do was hit the deer while trying to stay on the road. The deer's body hit in front of the windshield, obscuring the view, causing Dale to swerve and hit a tree. The Jeep, although equipped with seatbelt, ejected Dale and Travis into the woods, since neither of them put their seatbelts on. The deer that was pinned between the Jeep and the large tree began to transform into a large Skinwalker, while Travis and Dale writhed in pain on the forest floor. The Jeep held the Skinwalker in place as Dale and Travis eventually got to their feet. Fuel began to spill out of the damaged fuel tank underneath the Jeep as the Skinwalker tried to free itself from the twisted metal prison. Dale got up and ran to the back of the Jeep and grabbed his bag as well as the gun and handed Travis the spare revolver. "We need to keep going," Dale said while lighting the Zippo lighter and tossing it underneath the Jeep. The Jeep quickly caught fire and the Skinwalker's screams became more frantic. The two continued a light jog down the path as the Jeep finally erupted in flames, causing some of the nearby trees to catch fire. "Don't worry. The fire will alert the nearest town and they'll send us help," Dale reassured. The screams from deep within the forest wasted no time in catching up to Dale and Travis as they did their best to limp their way down the path. Flames began to grow in the background, giving off little light but also providing a wall of flames, creating a small barrier for the Skinwalkers to cross. 30 minutes down the trail, Dale searched frantically with his flashlight in the nearby woods for something, but Travis didn't know what it was. That's when Travis heard the all-too-familiar tune not too far behind him.
Tiptoe through the window, all the windows, that is where
Travis's eyes widened in the dark, as he knew that the Skinwalker was out especially for him, to finish the job. "Right here," Dale exclaimed as pointing off into the trees, to the right, shining his flashlight. The music got louder as Travis continued in pain. Dale led Travis into a clearing into the woods, where dozens of bodies hung upside down from trees, creating a small circle. In the middle of the circle was a grotesque statue made from sticks and bones, resembling some type of forest demon. "The circle can't hold both of us," as he shoved Travis into the circle and took off down the trail. "Wait, don't leave me here!" Travis cried as he pleaded for Dale to stay. Dale quickly left the area, and Travis could see a few Skinwalkers follow after him as a distraction. The fire in the distance began to grow even more, giving the false sense that the sun was rising. Travis began to cry, as he knew that he and his uncle were about to die. The singing was so close now that he knew that the Skinwalker could see him.
"There you are,"
the Skinwalker said from within the darkness.
"You should have known better to be out in the woods. I was never going to stop looking for you or your friends that got away."
Finally, a figure emerged from the darkness, and the Skinwalker appeared in the clearing as it danced and sang, knowing that there was nothing Travis could do. Travis aimed his revolver at the creature and fired, but the creature quickly darted back into the darkness and laughed even harder.
"Ash bullets? Your uncle really thought that that would save you from me? Great effort, sure, but you have to hit me for those to work."
Other Skinwalkers began to come into the clearing, and Travis fired in their direction, hitting one or maybe two of them. 20 Skinwalkers began to enter the clearing as they all laughed and danced their way towards the circle. Travis quickly ran out of bullets, and the creatures then began to swarm. However, as they did, they all stopped right outside of the invisible boundary of the circle.
"A Wendigo altar. What are the odds? Well, I hope you're comfortable because we're not letting you out of the circle alive. The fire will kill you before sunrise."
Travis crawled to the altar, which was in the middle of the circle, and cried even harder. The Skinwalkers continued to dance and mock him, saying how good his flesh would taste and which one of them would get to wear his skin, when Travis heard a strange sound. When Travis touched the altar, he heard a voice in his head.
"This is the mighty forest spirit of the Wendigo. What is your desire?"
Travis removed himself from the altar and touched it again, but this time with his hand. The altar repeated the same phrase, but clearer in his head.
"You know I can kill them for you. All of them. You would even have time to save your uncle."
Travis responded, but in his mind. Really? How? What would it take? The eyes of the altar began to glow red, and the makeshift mouth began to open.
"Allow me to taste of your flesh, and my spirit can come forth, but I'm greatly hungry, and I require a great sacrifice."
Sure, anything. What is it?
"Let me eat your hand, and I'll kill them for you."
Travis paused, as he legitimately considered this. "My hand?" he whispered. Not thinking, he inserted his left hand into the mouth of the altar, and it slowly began to bite down onto Travis's hand, hard. The initial crunch was the worst, as he could feel every teeth bite and grind his bony hand to a pulp. Travis screamed in horror and pain as the altar began to grow into a living, breathing creature, and took another bite of his forearm. Stop, 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 stop! Travis screamed. "You're eating my arm!" The Wendigo took one more bite, removing his forearm. The Skinwalker stopped dancing and looked on in terror. The Wendigo removed Travis's arm and tossed him inside the circle. The Wendigo transformed from a bony figure to a truly terrifying beast and exited the circle. Some of the Skinwalkers tried to swarm it, but they stood no chance, as the Wendigo tore their limbs off effortlessly. Travis did his best to watch the carnage take place, but the blood loss was beginning to get the better of him. The last thing he saw was the Wendigo gouging the eyes of the Skinwalker that killed some of the Boy Scouts before he blacked out. Travis woke up a few days later, but was no longer in the forest. Instead, he was in a fluorescent white hospital room. What remained of his arm ached, as well as most of his body. Once he awakened, a small alarm notified the nurse, which quickly entered the room to check up on him. Accompanied with the nurse was his mother and 2 men in suits. The mother quickly rushed over to the bed and hugged him as she began to cry. "I can't believe what happened to you. Are you okay?" Travis tried his best to speak, but his lungs hurt when he tried to talk. "Why does it hurt to breathe?" Travis asked. "Honey, they found you in the middle of that awful fire. It's a miracle you survived." "Where's Uncle Dale? Is he okay?" Jennifer looked at him with sad eyes. "He still hasn't been found yet, but I'm sure he's okay. I do have good news for you. Your father, he woke up yesterday, and he asked for you. He wants to see you once you feel up to it," she said. "Sure thing, Mom," he said with slight pain. The nurse escorted the mother out of the room, and the 2 men in suits remained. One of the men closed the door and took a seat close to Travis's bed. "Hey, there you are, sport. You're quite a fighter," the agent said with a slight chuckle. "Where are my manners? I'm Agent Johnson, and this is my partner, Agent Borsky. We just got assigned to this case you're involved with. Does Operation Wendigo mean anything to you?"